The time in the presence of a quorum, I call the Boxborough Fire Station Building Committee to order. We have a slightly different format and agenda today because we didn't have that much material and we are all working through the summer. So hopefully this is a shorter meeting, but we couldn't cancel altogether because we have to pay the bills and they're always at the end of the month. So we have just a few agenda items, and because it's so few, I took off public comment for this meeting. So I'm going to move. Oh, I have to take a roll call vote. So I'm going to start with that. Maria?
Here.
Alan?
Here.
Sarah?
Present.
Priya?
Present.
Mac?
Here.
Larry?
Present.
And Mary? Present. So we're all here tonight. I'm going to start us with a review and possible vote of the context proposal. So this is to do services for an additional site analysis that the package, that the contract or amendment proposal was sent to all of us via email. Jeff, do you want to kind of walk us through it and then we can see if anyone has questions?
Sure. Yep.
I'm happy to share if that's helpful.
If people want to see it, yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay.
Excuse me. So the request was to put together a proposal that would enable the committee to engage and understand in more detail, similar to the prior work that was done on the other sites, for a future site that is yet to be determined. And because there's no certainty of exactly what the parameters around that site was, when we asked our civil engineer to provide a proposal, they did give us a range, because they didn't know how much work it would be and how big the site would be and all of that. So right now it's set up as a not to exceed time and materials. Majority of this would be the civil engineer's work. So we felt it was appropriate in this particular proposal to, in addition to our overall fee proposal, to provide the consultant's proposal that they gave us as backup. So that's attached to this in later pages, and you can go through that, and that has much more detail on all of the different tasks that they would perform, as well as some of the limitations of their work. Just generally speaking, it would be about a month worth of work. We would develop some test fits using the same plans and design that was prepared for 72 Stowe Road on a future site. And this was to simply save time and extra effort and to not engage additional expenses if they weren't needed. So assuming that footprint would work on any kind of future site, we won't be redoing that. It's just plopping it on there. The engineers would do existing conditions plans using just GIS data. We wouldn't do any surveying, but there'd be available data from the town through the GIS department, which would have some information about floodplain and all of that stuff. We would get some preliminary information on the soils using databases that are available to the civil engineer. So we wouldn't be necessarily going and doing as much geotechnical work as like we've done before, but limited there. We would do a wetlands review. We would not do a delineation necessarily that was needed for the existing fire station site, but we would do a review with wetland scientists for the area, maps and things like that. That would come as a memo. Traffic engineering, another traffic impact assessment for, in this case, up to 2 intersections, but on that future site, and soil testing for a septic system to obviously make sure that would work on the site. And then they would do their own conceptual plan, including the building footprint and a bunch of these other things, basically to consolidate that into one drawing so we could see all of the elements laid out. This would all end up in a report that the engineer would provide. And the way that this would work is that as it's time and materials, we just work up to that total of 87,000. There would be a few things that we wouldn't provide. The exclusions here, which are all on the next page. The survey, as I mentioned, we wouldn't do a wetlands delineation. There was no expectation of any permitting or planning board appearances, attendance, or permits that would be a plan for at this stage, of course. Just clarifying that we would not be identifying any endangered species. There may still be that, but we wouldn't be specifically looking on site for endangered species. We might be able to say they're generally in this area. And then anything that's on the consultant's proposals would be additional services. We tried to pick out the big ones here and make sure everybody's aware of them. The consultants range in their proposal, I'm going to get to their fee schedule here. It's like on page 7, I think, Mary. Ranges from 52,000 to 68,000 for all of those tasks. And as they build towards those tasks, we would subsequently build the town. And as we build towards the overall, which is the remainder is our piece, we would build the town for our pieces. It would all be combined into one. So you're just seeing what you normally don't see, which is the backup to our overall number. And Mac asked the question before, is how is this kind of put together so that the town knows what's the overall potential exposures? And that is truly, in fact, the number at the beginning, the 86,000, and we wouldn't go over that without having further discussions with the town about that. And should a site be selected that the engineers feel would go beyond that 68,000, we wouldn't do any work until we met with you first to talk about any potential impacts to that fee, and whether that needed to be adjusted or whether we would just adjust the scope to keep within the original fee envelope. So that's the overview. Happy to get into any further questions about that. But essentially, once you approve this, we wouldn't start any work until the committee authorized us to begin that work. And that wouldn't really start until we had a site. So we're still some time away, but approving it now allows us to get ready and start the work as soon as the site's picked.
Okay, questions for Jeff or anyone else? Priya.
Jeff, I see here civil engineering due diligence is 4,000 to 6,000, but the due diligence report is 7,000 to 10,000. Is it?
Yes, the report essentially is called in their lingo a due diligence report, which takes into account all of these factors about a particular site. And then there's some due diligence that they would provide as part of the beginning of their report, which basically means they're going to start looking into all the documentation that exists on that particular site, whether it's in town records or state records.
Okay.
It's not going to be
Including
exhaustive, but generally speaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I should point out, just so everybody's aware, I don't want to, there wasn't anything intent-wise here, but we did reach out to our original civil engineer, and then we reached out to this new civil engineer, which we new to you, but very familiar to us. We've used them on other projects, and we felt that this was more responsive to what the town was looking for. And we feel comfortable that now there's going to be a new site, that there wouldn't be any issues with switching to a different civil engineer at this point. So it is a different group than the last pieces of work.
Just one more question. I know with the exclusions, you said like you will be able to give us like a broad idea, right? Like with the delineation, maybe not like the exact. Is that
Yeah, for the
correct
wetlands,
understanding? Yeah.
For the wetlands, they're not going to do a delineation, but they basically, I'll basically read from Fuss and O'Neill's report that scientists will visit the site for the fire station that's being proposed. That they would they'd use some online mapped wetlands resources and compare those wetlands against what the observed field conditions would be. They'd compile a sketch map and a memo to describe their observations, and they believe that it could be performed in a day or two. They're not going to go in with flags like they would otherwise and identify plant and animals that would indicate the presence of a wetland and actually then survey that line to actually show on a map where that would be. That's what we did at the existing fire station. We didn't believe, at least at this point, that it would be necessary on a future site. It certainly can be done if we find one that we really like, and it's, would be important to know where that line is specifically, but generally speaking, this will be good enough for what our purposes.
Okay.
Alan?
I just got a couple of things. First of all, is Vertex excluded from this because they're an OPM already and they can't be doing additional work?
Well, we didn't ask Vertex for a proposal, but that's funny that you might bring it up. But I don't know, Steve, if you guys have one division of Vertex that can do this sort of work, but typically you would want to keep your OPM services separate from your.
Yeah, the answer to the question, yes, we do have a civil engineering branch, but that we look at that as being a conflict of interest because I would be approving Vertex invoices, and that can lead to issues down the line. So we keep that, we do keep that separate, Alan.
Okay. Mary, for the people that don't have the paper in front of them, could you go back to page 3, item 11 at the very bottom? There's
And
a
it is in the
statement there,
packet, just so everyone knows.
right there at number 11.
Yeah.
Right at the bottom, it says proposed site driveway intersection with Mass Avenue, as though we already know we're going to have a site that intersects Mass Avenue. But that's not true, right? That's in the event that we were to choose a site that went on Mass Avenue?
Yeah, I think that realistically probably was because we gave them the site plans for the 2 existing sites and the traffic studies to look at, and they probably just made an assumption that was, well, they probably just used the word when they should have just said with whatever the road is, because we don't know what the road will be, but they will do this on any site, regardless if it's Mass Avenue or not.
Okay, I didn't know.
Everything we're looking at intersects Mass Ave.
Okay. I just want to make sure that's clear. It's not like the work group has identified a site that we don't know about.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I wish.
And the only other question I have, or I need a clarification, the very next page, 12K. I don't know what fair share dollar commitments. I don't know what that means.
Well, I don't either, really. I mean, it has to do with the traffic study and mitigation measures. So I think when you do traffic planning, there's a component of this that includes evaluation of the traffic proposals regards to what benefits it would bring. But I don't know what fair share dollar necessarily means. But my assumption here is that these are sort of typical traffic mitigation measures that they're going to compare against what the traffic studies find. And so I think they're just listing typical measures, not necessarily things that would impact our project.
Okay, thank you.
I took that to mean I guess I thought fair share was the taxes that we passed, and some of it goes to transportation, tax over $1 million. But maybe I'm wrong about that. That's what I took that to mean, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't really want to speculate because I really don't know what it means. But most of these are things that are doing improving the road conditions to lessen the burden of traffic. So I don't really know what K in particular stands for, but many of the others are, obvious improvements to the roadway.
Right. Other questions, comments? Sarah?
So, Jeff, you were sitting in all of the meetings when the final reports from the other consultants came through, and we received public comment on them, and we had our own questions on them. Can we take those lessons learned from the public comments and our own comments and apply them to the results of what we're going to be getting from this civil engineer? And I kind of say that a little loosely because I think we did get a little criticism from the public, but I don't think there was anything particularly identifiable as to what what we should have done better. It was just that we needed to do better, but I could be wrong on that. I don't know if the working group got other feedback from the public.
No,
I
we didn't.
feel comfortable with Fuss and O'Neill and their ability to give us professional grade reports and evaluations of the project. I mean, I used both civil engineers, so I can't necessarily say that there's a major difference between the two, but I do like using Fuss and O'Neill. They have their own internal traffic folks. They're not hiring an extra party to do that. And what in particular, one of the reasons in particular that we felt they were more applicable here is that we felt they were going to be more responsive than the prior engineer. So I thought that was going to be more important. I think given the fact that, we've been involved for quite a while in Boxborough and knowing what the public has to say about things, I think no matter what engineer we hire, there's always going to be critical components to what the public wants to see and maybe might be missing from some of their early reports, because there are preliminary stuff and there's always going to be a little bit of a gap of knowledge that somebody just hopes is there, just not there yet. But I think the evaluations will be done very professionally here by these folks.
And I would say that similar to the other work that's been done, this is to help us select a site. Once we have a site and move forward, there will be much more in-depth study of that site for the design phase if we get the funding for that. So,
And just from our point of view, we've worked on other projects, not necessary context projects, with Fuss and O'Neill previously with no issues.
Great, thank you. Other questions? Yep, Sarah?
Other question. The timeline that you've applied to this, 4 weeks for all of these things, and again, I know you said this is T&M, not to exceed. Are we covered if the timeline goes further beyond that? Because, for example, if there's a site that we say, we just want the traffic study done right now, and after we have the traffic study done, maybe we'll come back and look at some other stuff. Is everybody comfortable with doing, are these consultants comfortable with doing that in that fashion? Or are they saying we need to do all of it?
Well, I think what they're saying is we've asked them to do all of it and they're giving us a proposal to do it all. But I think if we came back and said the town just really wants to do this one piece, I don't think they'd have any problem telling us what would be necessary to simply just do that one piece. The other thing that I would ask them at the same time is, does that change their overall fee structure if we pull something out now, do it out of sequence, and have to come back?
Okay.
So
I think Sarah was saying if we did piece A in week 1, and then we waited 2 or 3 weeks and then asked for the rest of it, it's not a 4-week period anymore. Does this still hold?
Yeah, and their fees aren't based on time. Their fees are based on tasks. So if we said we want to do something first and the other things later, I don't expect it would increase their fee. I would want to confirm it, of course, and verify that with you, but I don't see any fee increase there. And I think realistically, the time piece is more about the architecture side. And frankly, I don't see that to be a problem. We're going to evaluate one site, do the preliminary siting of a building on one site. If the committee wanted to make 16 different revisions to that and it goes months later, then obviously that's a bigger deal. But the civil engineering piece is a pretty straightforward component. They're just completing 5 or 6 different tasks.
All right, I got one more question for you.
Okay.
That may lead to others. I'm not going to stop there. But one thing that it mentioned in here in the traffic study was that it was going to review pedestrian, I think, on the space as well. And I can't remember which section it was. And of course I didn't write it down, but I thought it was part of the traffic.
Well, I know they're going to do turning movements and vehicle counts. I'm just now reading through it to see if it says other things about pedestrians.
Maybe I was wrong, and then maybe I think I saw the mitigation piece as it mentioned bike lanes and it mentioned bike lanes and some other things, but my question was, if you're only doing the like roadway counts, traffic counts, how are you going to propose a bike lane as mitigation?
And I honestly, I don't think they're necessarily proposing anything or would be proposing anything. I think they're strictly limiting it to the vehicle and traffic. And if those, I think what they're saying in number 12 there, that was mentioned earlier, was the mitigation measures would be if there were areas that had traffic challenges, and what sort of mitigations measures could be proposed to address those traffic issues. That's not really the purpose of our traffic study. Our traffic study is to look at more about how do the fire apparatus deal with the traffic that is already there. And our building's not going to be adding a volume of traffic to the roadway, which when you normally do a traffic study, you're looking at like a big development's going to add so many more vehicle trips per day. You might need to propose to the municipality mitigation measures to, basically reduce the impact of that traffic on the roadway. And here's a bunch of things that you could do that. We're looking at it sort of from the opposite perspective of how the traffic that's already there is impacting our vehicles' operations on the roadway, being able to get out and get to the calls and get back into the station. So I don't think there would be any challenges there.
I was fearsome that if we include that information in their proposal, that somebody might be expecting that at the end of the traffic study. So I just want to make sure that the scope of the deliverables that they're going to be giving us aren't too far reaching if they're not prepared to make that decision at the end of the reporting.
Correct. I don't think there would be any expectations that they would be adding scope. It would simply be identifying any traffic issues that the volume of traffic of our proposed project would be adding to the roadways. And since it's likely negligible, I don't think there would be any mitigation proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments? Maria?
Thank you. So, first of all, do we want to make a change in that number 11 so that it doesn't just say exiting onto Mass Ave and just take that out somehow? Because yes, Mary, currently we're just looking at Mass Ave, but I don't know. I think it makes more sense to not limit us to that.
Yeah. Based on collected speed data, assess site distances at the proposed site driveway intersection with the road.
I think.
Can we do that, Jeff? Yeah.
I can have them revise it. Yep, I can have them revise it, and then we'll package it with a new revised proposal, send it back to Mike.
Okay. So thank you. That was one comment, but my overall comment is I struggled with this all day. Like, I'm not voting for this. There's no way I'm putting another $87,000 into this project, not knowing where it's going to be. It's taxpayer money. The same thing you guys have heard me say over and over again. So I want to understand how this is going to work logistically. So if we vote this tonight, we have now extended this contract. We have the scope of work. And by who, is it going to be the entire committee, or is it going to be that small working group, or is it going to be the Monday night MAC group? Who's going to propose we should look at, my address, 201 Picnic Street, and let's put money into it? I guess that I would need to understand that better before I can even vote for this.
The committee is going to decide. So right now we have a number of sites we're exploring. It will come to the committee, as we have been doing, updates on all the sites, and at some point when we have that information, hopefully in August, we're going to say either the best site out of all those other ones we're looking at is X, and we're going to discuss that and come to that decision together, or we could say no other site fits and we won't pull the trigger on this at all. We're only going to pull the trigger if there's a good site that deserves analysis to then be a potential site to get us off of Stowe Road, but not at the current station. If
And
we
so
can do,
that's going to be a committee decision. We would do
that's
a
going to be a
committee vote on
committee
that.
decision. That's going to be a committee decision.
Okay, because I mean, aside from
That's a big decision. That it has
well,
to
it's
be
a
a
huge
committee
decision. And you said August, hopefully. I'm so concerned with the fact that we are July 24th, and
Yeah.
we're still looking at properties, and it's the same cycle we've been in. Town meeting comes along, the same no, people say no. We end up getting derailed. We're now looking at the end of July. We've got all these parallel tracks, and I understand that. And here we are now putting more money into this. So now I don't want to put any more money into it. So if this is a vote to say, potentially, if the perfect not perfect, but a really, really viable site, not a make people happy because we got to check it off a list, but a really viable site comes up and we'll have this contract in hand and we can look at it. For instance, if the 832, 750 Mass Ave, and we need to do a traffic study there, because that's the only place I right now see us spending money, right? Would be there on traffic to get that sight line. So if that's what this is about, I can get behind this. But it is costing us money every day. And I watched.
It is, but Maria, if we went today before town meeting and said, well, first of all, if we had to go before town meeting with no other property, we have to decide, are we going to go to 502 or are we going to recommend 72? So we'd have to make that choice. Just say we chose 72. Are we going to take that to town meeting and get another no? I mean, we have to either come up with some other alternative or show why we can't.
I understand that. And I think that but we could do this forever, Mary. That's my concern.
I understand that. We're not going to do it forever.
I watched the MBTA. I watched the planning board the other night and they were talking about MBTA. They have 6 districts. This has been going on forever. And they kept going around. Then somebody mentioned, well, maybe we need to look here. Maybe we need to look there. And Mark White said, we had to put a pin in it at some point. Now,
yes.
Again, I'm willing to get through. I know that Mac is working hard with the Monday night group, the focus group, the whatever listening group, whatever. I like the Mac Monday night group. It's easy. So the Mac Monday night group, I understand we're working with that. I understand we need to go back to the town and say, we've eliminated this, but we've got to get to a point where, what happens if tomorrow, I don't know, Tree Master says, you know what, I'll sell my property to the town for whatever amount of money. And so do we go then and look at that? I don't want to be a hamster on a wheel. And so if this
but I think we have the sites we're looking at and we're just talking with owners and resolving.
Okay. And if we're not going to use this without it coming back to the town, I'm sorry, not the town, but back to this committee for a vote to make sure that we're all on board with whatever site. I mean,
absolutely.
Okay. I can get behind that in that, as long as those parameters are kind of put around it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Larry.
Yeah, Maria, I hear your concerns. We're all frustrated on how the process went, but what would you propose we do instead of what we're proposing? What's a better way to do this?
Well, in what respect, Larry, my thing is we continue to spend taxpayer dollars to investigate pieces of property because ultimately 72 Stowe Road is it is difficult, but it's the right location right now, as of right now. We're looking at other pieces of property, maybe something flies and that would be great. Because quite frankly, I want to move this process along. I don't care if it's at 750 Mass Ave. I don't care if it's at 1414. We want to move this along. I just want to make sure that as we do this, at some point we have to stop. You've been on a committee 2 years before this one. And you guys spent money looking at sites, and now we're spending money. Now, all I wanted to know is this 87,000 is there, can be used. If a site that is really viable comes up, this money's going to be there for us to further investigate. But at some point, we need to just say, we've explored all these options and we're done. We're not going to go back to 1414 a 5th time. We're not going to go back to 1300 a 4th time. Right. That's my point is, hopefully, at some point we need to have a drop dead on this and we need to move forward. And,
Right.
and, 72 Stowe Road may not be the popular option for the abutters, but I think the town is now woken up a little bit and may not be, it's a heavy lift. I'm not saying it's not, and maybe that's not where we go, but we can't keep putting good money after bad. We just can't keep spending taxpayers' money and getting nowhere. 13 years later, tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars on studies.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean,
made my point.
we're all frustrated, but this unfortunately is the public process in this town.
Yeah.
And we unfortunately came in front of the town with zoning that sideswiped us and totally changed the process. So we're trying to fix the zoning. We can't go back to the town until the zoning is resolved. So, I mean, unfortunately, we're in a situation that was none of our doing. And here we are, and we're having to spend money, and there's no other way around it.
But I'm being told we're only going to spend the money if we have a viable site, and that's what I need to hear.
Yes, we're not going to waste it.
That's what I need to hear. We're not going to
Yeah.
spend $87,000 because 1,300 wants us to look at swampland, and we're going to put money into looking
Yeah,
at the
no, we're
swampland
not going
across
to
the
do
street.
that. We are.
That's what
not
I
gonna
need to
do
know
that.
is that ultimately it's going to come back to us, and we're going to look at that property, and it's going to at least rise to a certain level where if we
Exactly.
put money into it, there's a real possibility we can use it. And I literally do not care anymore where this fire station goes aside from 502. We need to break ground. Like, we have got to start building this thing, and we've got to get zoning done. But we've all, I'm frustrated by the fact that we're, again, spinning our wheels. So as long as we're not going to spend this money without it coming back to the group to discuss the property it's going to be spent on, I'm fine with it. Larry, I understand that this is the process we have to do. I don't like the process, and I'm tired of it. It's been a lot of years. For some of us, it's been more years than others. And it's the same thing. People don't want to build a fire station. We go to town meeting. It gets, we get derailed and we go back. This is the closest we've ever come to actually designing a fire station. And so for me, let's make sure we're going down that road to get to the fire station and not spending taxpayer monies unless absolutely necessary. And it makes real sense. And what Mary just said makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
And Mary, I have one other follow-up question. Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
At the last meeting, I questioned when in the timeline we would review the programming for the fire station, and your response at the time was that we were waiting to get some of the feedback from Mac's group. Do we know any more? Is that is that something that's been scheduled? And if so, I would love to be part of that conversation.
So the next listening group is Monday, the 28th. 28th. And then we will bring information from that to our next meeting. Although I will say I will not be at that meeting because I am taking a vacation without all of you. So we can share that back, and but then there's going to be some work for the chief and for context and vertex to work with the chief to think about the input from that group and things like that, and then I think we can start working on, what's realistic here, what can we do, what can we not do, things like that.
So what does that mean timeline-wise?
I don't know, Larry. I haven't laid it out. Monday, the 28th is
Yeah.
going to be the second round of input.
No, I understand.
August 14th, I think it is our next meeting. So the committee will get input about what the listening group said by then.
Okay.
And then the work needs to happen. So then people sit down and really take to heart the input that has come from that, the input that others, I'm hoping that others have been thinking about this. And we can take input from the committee and input from the chief and all of that, and then start pushing and pulling a little bit. Understanding that everything we have so far is only a conceptual design. We are not about to design the building.
No,
Things
I'm
will
just talking
happen.
about the space needs. That's all.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the design of the building, the
Well, no,
space needs.
space needs comes before the design of the building.
Right. But we already know the space needs.
Exactly.
Well, that's where I think we have a disagreement, because we got a lot of feedback from the community, and one of the key items was in comparison to other towns, we're bigger. Understand that there are fixed items that they're non-negotiable, but we haven't gone back and worked with the chief to see if there are any things that are discretionary in any way. We have to give that answer back to the community, back to the town. And so that needs to be a thoughtful process and a thoughtful response.
And that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
So I don't have a timeline on it, but that is what's going to happen.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Sarah.
So just to reiterate the timeline for all of this, we agree to this proposal, but we don't move forward with anything until we all agree on the site, and Context and Fuss and O'Neill are okay waiting until we do that. And the pricing for all of these items are going to remain the same until we say start. I did see that one of the comments in the proposal says that the rates are valid through 2025. I get that. So if it gets to 2026, we may have to renegotiate the rates.
Within reason, yeah. I don't think we'd be too picky on this too much, but obviously if it's a year later and we still haven't started the work, I think we probably would need to talk to Fuss and O'Neill about whether their fees are reasonable.
We're aiming for December town meeting. So on this, so the goal is not to go into next year.
I understand that. I just want to make sure that they're okay with us signing and then them just staying on hold for a while until we say go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other
I
comments?
think one thing that everybody needs to understand too is Fuss and O'Neill won't be just waiting for us to call. If we decide that we want them to do something, then we're going to have to schedule it with them. So it may not be quote unquote instantaneous response. It'll be good response, but it won't be months away, but they'll have lined things up. So we got to be reasonable about what our expectations are of them mobilizing for whatever it may be. If it's desktop, it's probably different. If it's site visit, I don't want to confuse Jeff, but I want to buffer that a little bit.
Yeah, they committed to 2 weeks to begin work within 2 weeks of a signed authorization to proceed, weather permitting. Obviously, their workload and kind of what's going on with the weather probably will impact it a bit, but I think they will stand behind that. If we really needed them to get going right away, we'd probably be able to get some things going in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? Does somebody want to make a motion?
Amendment number 7.
Mary, I would so move.
So you're going to move to approve Amendment 7 in the amount of a not to exceed price of $87,000
Yes.
With the change of wording.
with the change of wording on the traffics. The traffic.
As amended.
Second.
Okay, so Mac moved and I heard Sarah second. I'm going to take a roll call vote. Mac,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Priya,
Sundaram, aye.
Maria,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
and Brolin, aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing And we have public outreach in case we wanted to discuss anything around the planning board's public hearing for the municipal zoning, which is August 4th.
So we don't have a lot. I mean, we've got social media, which we put a notice out. The town put a notice out yesterday, I think. And we've got that. I know that there are people who are there's people not related to this committee who are emailing people to try to get people to get on the meeting, let them know this meeting's happening. I don't know what much more we can do.
What about the emails we've collected?
So I did ask Rajon for the last one to send out a notification. And so we'll ask him again to send out a notification. It's too early at this point to send out a notification. We
Okay.
should do it next week.
Okay.
End of next week.
Mary and Maria, I have the flyers ready. I didn't want to make a decision about whether we should distribute it this weekend or wait till next weekend.
Oh, to do
not
the
sure.
transfer station?
Yeah, I'm not sure which one is.
I
Well,
wouldn't do this. Well, it's hard because you want to give people enough notice.
exactly.
But you know, so maybe it is this weekend if possible. And then follow up emails, hopefully, and the notification from the town.
Does the flyer say it will be posted and where to go find it? Yeah. I think that this weekend, because then people get it on their calendars.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ellen is
Yeah.
willing to do it. The flyers
Yeah,
are ready.
Sure, absolutely. I just wondered, we're doing it as the Fire Station Building Committee, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's directly connected to our project. And we need to hear what the public is saying for zoning around this.
Right.
Sure.
And the thing
Yeah.
to keep in mind is, I went to the last meeting, and the thing to keep in mind is the MBTA, there's two public hearings at night, the MBTA community zoning and the municipal zoning. The MBTA public hearing started this past Monday and was continued to 7:05 on the 4th. So that's going to go first. Hopefully that conversation doesn't go 3 hours because it could get late. I don't, and there's no, I don't know, not my meeting. So I don't know if they're going to say, okay, we're going to go an hour and a half and then we're going to continue because they can, I don't know. So we need to let people know and that it could be it will be the second hearing and that will be later than 7:05, but nobody knows what time later. So be patient, kind
But
of
it is by Zoom, so you can be in your home
doing
puttering.
anything. Yes.
Yeah. Good. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So I know, Alan, it's in the town hall. Mike, is there somebody that's going to be there at town hall? I know Kelly printed them so that Alan can
Yes.
pick it up tomorrow.
Yes. Yep. There are people there all day, so they can be picked up. They're all ready.
Okay.
Where are they
Oh,
going to be, Mike?
They're in Kelly's office.
Is that going to be open tomorrow to get them?
Yeah. If so the town hall is not unlocked, but there are going to be 3 or 4 staff members in there. So if you just go to the end door where my office is,
Yeah.
and someone will let you in. Either text me and let me know what time you're going to be there, or just knock and somebody will let you in.
Okay.
Thanks, Alan.
So
You're
if
welcome.
anybody can think of anything other way to get the information out, let us know. I mean, we just, we're a little hamstrung in the town. There's I don't know if Foxborough News is going to do something. I don't know if they'll put something in there to about the public hearings. So, but that's really it. Those are our options.
Okay. We can ask them. Yeah.
I'm going to reserve the sign outside the fire station too, and John will buy more zip ties to hang it up with.
And if it can get bigger, because it is, I still can't read it when I'm driving by. I'm sorry.
I'll see if I can buy some. The problem is like the letters can only be so large. Otherwise, it won't fit on the banner.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I get that like taller helps, but yeah.
You
I
can't
will
make them
see what I can
taller
do.
without wider. And then
Right,
everything gets bigger.
exactly. They can be
Right.
taller, but they can be wider. Although because this is one meeting, I could spill it onto 2 lines and I'll make it bigger. I'll buy some
Yeah.
bigger pictures. The other thing too was sandwich boards. Larry, I know we had like an email exchange over that about making some like A-frame sandwich boards to put up around town. And Larry estimated it might be about $160 to make, I think, 6 of them. Is that what we said?
It was 4 or 6, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't want to go purchase all the stuff for it unless everybody was on board with that idea. It would just be like painted board and with, again, like vinyl letters on them informing the public, and then we would put them around town.
But they're reusable, right? You can change
Yeah.
Yeah, we can take the vinyl letters off and just use them for the extent, or give them, the town can use them too. It doesn't have to be just us necessarily. Are we?
Yeah.
Are we likely going to see posters from other groups with their opinion about saving neighborhoods or whatever that might be before this meeting? Where we want to have our words there too?
I don't think we'll see Save Our Neighborhoods before this meeting. It's possible, but I don't think so. God, Ellen, I don't know if any of us thought about that, but it is what it is, right?
Hey,
We
I
can't
think
do
we
anything
should get
about
the-
it if the signs go back up.
I mean, it's hard for anyone because we don't even know what they're proposing exactly. I'm presuming we'll know that when the hearing is posted.
We'll have some idea. Well, there'll be a package probably posted with the agenda. But part of the public hearing, part of what we heard last week was that there were members who wanted to hear from the public about the residential, by right, permit, yada, yada, yada. So all the different, they talked about all different things. So
Yeah.
I don't know that we won't have language of what they're proposing before that meeting.
Okay.
I think we may get some information based on last week's meeting, but I'm sure that any language they're going to try to pull together, they would try to pull together after the public hearing or during the public hearing. That was my impression from last week.
Yeah.
Mary,
Okay.
Mary, what do we have to do to give Larry the okay to make those sandwich boards?
I guess we should approve the spending. Because it'll come out either fully or partially on our budget.
Mary, we just approved 87,000.
Yeah,
This is just $1,000. I think it's worth it. I mean, it's
160. Yeah,
I would say 200.
160 times
Yes.
6, right?
yeah.
Or is it total 160?
Oh, no, I think it was total.
Total.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
was like,
I'm gonna
what kind
I'm
of
gonna buy
signs is
some.
Priya making?
No, because I thought it was 160 per board. That's why we were
No.
like having this conversation.
no.
So, okay.
No.
All right. Yeah.
So Mary, I'll make a motion to approve up to $200 spent to make sandwich boards.
Second,
Second.
Okay, I heard Mac move that, and I think I heard Priya second it. I'll take a roll call vote. Maria,
Aye.
Mac,
Aye.
Priya,
Sundaram, aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Alan,
aye.
Sarah,
Hi.
and Brolin, aye. So that's unanimous. Thank
And
you.
Mary, that should
Yes.
come out entirely out of the budget, out of the warrant money. That $200. I mean, it
Yeah.
comes out of our budget, which is the warrant money.
Yeah,
Because
right.
it's advertising specifically for the fire station. So
It's just, I was thinking if when we're done, somebody else uses it, but so be it. We're not going to throw them away when we're done.
no, but
Somebody-
if
yeah.
we don't do that, then we need to figure out what town budget is
Right,
going to come out.
right.
And I know it's
No
only
worries.
$200, but that's a pain in the butt. So.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. All right. So I'm going to move us to the minutes of July 10th. They were in our packet. Any comments? Edits? Oh, Alan's shaking his head no. All
Everything
right.
was wonderful.
With that, I would take a motion to approve the minutes of July 10th.
So moved.
Second.
So Alan moved, Maria seconded. Roll call vote, Maria,
Aye.
Mac,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Priya,
Abstain.
Sarah.
Aye.
Did I ask you, Alan?
You did not. Aye.
Alan
Aye.
and Brolin, aye. So that's unanimous except for Priya abstained. And I'm going to take us to the bills. So we have the invoice from Vertex.
Yeah, you have two invoices for the month of June. Vertex's invoice number 10 for $3,506, and then Context invoice number 9 for $5,330, for a total for the month of $8,836. Now, Mary, if you want to jump to a couple pages down to the budget status page, yeah, right there. So I just want to give everybody a heads up. This budget status page right now shows $162,583 left in our $500,000 appropriation. But I just want to remind everybody that we did approve amendment number 6 for Context to continue attending meetings, and we just did amendment number 7 for $87,000, which it'll move forward as necessary. We also had a late submission on the minute taker, but I'm sort of those invoices will be submitted. The June invoices will be submitted in July, but I'm forecasting out through like November for minutes, and then we just approved 200 for sign materials. We're right now, if we spend all that, we have $46,123 left in the appropriation. So we have to be frugal on what maybe we do with Fuss and O'Neill if we want to have them do something else somewhere.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm just giving it doesn't show in this. Everything looks like we got a lot of money left, but what we don't, we've committed monies. Do we, we may not spend it all, but it's, we're committing it so that we can move forward expeditiously when we need to.
So for August invoice, will it show those commitments?
It will, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
No, in August for the July
Invoice.
Correct.
invoices. Yes.
Right.
All that will be
Correct.
updated. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions about this invoice?
Mary, I would make a motion to approve the sum of $8,836 to approve the two invoices that total that $8,836.
Is there a second?
Second.
So Mac moved, Maria seconded. Before we vote, any questions, comments? Okay, roll call vote. Maria,
Aye.
Mac,
Aye.
Priya,
Sundaram, aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
and Brolin, aye.
Thank you.
Okay. And that will take us to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Maria moved, Alan seconded. Roll call vote. Maria,
Aye.
Mac,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Priya,
Sundaram, aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
and Brolin, aye. Thank you, everyone.